Yes, hello, I am James Rowlands, and today it's the WNR308, and I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by a very special guest. It's Francis Wright. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Well, how I'm doing, that depends on how this goes, you see, because every day of my life I speak the truth, even if the truth doesn't want to be spoken about. It all depends on how you react to the truth and how your audience reacts to the truth. So I can further answer this question as we conclude this call.
Well, this is what I'm saying. I'm so pleased to have you on here. And of course, like I said, with the people on the podcast, we have no idea what to expect. So everybody listening, buckle yourself in. So we should be on for a hell of a ride. But obviously, anybody living under a rock that might not know about you, why don't you tell them a bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Francis Wright. I am the degeneracy cleanser. I am a man who believes the truth that professional wrestling is evil because it's a bunch of barbarians who want to beat each other up and want to hurt each other for superficial reasons. And I also know the hidden truth that professional wrestling and the Illuminati have an unholy alliance to bring evil upon this world and upon all professional wrestling fans. And I have dedicated my life to eliminating the evil, eliminating professional wrestling, and eliminating the Illuminati. And I'm here to talk to you today about that, as well as other truths that you may not know about that you've been lied to about your entire lives.
Well, that is exactly what we're here for. And today we're going to try and just understand everything and get behind the truth. Like we said, we've heard so many rumors about so many different things. And of course, like you said, you just talked about there about the eliminating evil for the Illuminati. I mean, how long has this Illuminati has a hold over professional wrestling? Is it recently, or has it been since the kind of beginning of time?
Oh, it's been since the beginning of time. Now, the way in which it has been portrayed obviously has changed. The way professional wrestling was in the 1980s is different the way in the 1990s. It's different to how it is now. But if you look back at all professional wrestling characters, from Hulk Hogan to Steve Austin, even to modern day stars, they're all in some way, shape, or form spreading evil upon the fans. Now, most recently, and this is groundbreaking information. We're starting off hot. We've gotten like 3 minutes in, and we're going to give the biggest revelation yet. Barack Obama, you thought he was done after he ended his United States presidency? Yeah. No. Ever since 2016, he's taken over the unholy alliance of professional wrestling and the Illuminati. He's really the most powerful man in professional wrestling, not Vince McMahon. And he is the one that's behind all this evil and all this wickedness that you see.
Well, I got to say, that is a huge exclusive. So it's Barack Obama who is in control of it, and he runs with an iron fist. I mean, has he got any top lieutenants? Is there any people that you know that you're going to target specifically, or are you kind of working undercover at this moment in time?
Oh, I'm not working undercover. I am very outspoken. In fact, if you go to my Twitter, we'll do Twitter plugs later, presumably. But if you go to my Twitter, I talk all about the different hidden truths, as well as what you can do to protect yourself from all this wickedness, all this degeneracy. But as far as my plan, obviously I intend to start at the independent level, take out the independent stars first that are spreading all this degeneracy. And then, of course, I'm going to work my way up until eventually I get to the top lieutenants, like you said, Barack Obama's greatest secret weapons. So we're talking about John Cena. We're talking about Batista. We're talking about Roman Reigns. We're talking about all these people that have chiseled, shining abs. You know what I'm talking about? Otis, too. Got chiseled, shining abs. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, yeah. I'm sorry I was going to say, like, someone like The Rock would be a shining example of this as well, yes?
Oh, absolutely, because he's transcended professional wrestling and he's gone into movies. So, and actually, presumably by the time this episode is released, my first episode of my new series will be released. I am starting to talk about the degeneracy you find in Hollywood movies. And The Rock, presumably, I'm going to talk about him at some point in that series too, because he is part of the unholy alliance of professional wrestling in the Illuminati, but the Illuminati has other unholy alliances. You know what I'm talking about? And that's also with the movie industry. The Illuminati and Hollywood, they're intertwined. You know what I'm talking about? I'm sure you.
Without a doubt. I mean, we've all heard the rumors and people, with like Tom Hanks, these guys in control of Hollywood, and it's great that you're managing to tackle this. But with the Illuminati, anybody that doesn't know, so these are kind of powerful people. But where do they originate? Are they just normal people, or is there something special about them that makes them so evil?
Oh, that's a very good question. They're the lizard people. You've heard, it's supposedly a myth. The lizard people aren't real. Yes, they are. You know the black helicopters? What the black helicopters are, they're disguises. What they actually are UFOs. And they go into space and they take the lizard people. And those lizard people not only wreak havoc on Earth, but then they reproduce with normal human people to create even more lizard people. And they also dig their little fingers into people's skulls to brainwash them. And that's what's going on. So the Illuminati people, Barack Obama, most politicians that you see, most actors that you see, they're from outer space. Musicians too.
Well, without a doubt, and we should say, like, anybody listening doesn't know about the lizard people, they have been dominating Earth, and people like Queen Elizabeth, George W. Bush, Henry Kissinger, of course, Bill and Hillary Clinton, Bob Hope, have all been called this in the past. So there's definite, I wouldn't say evidence, but you can see from past experience, these kind of people. But you're saying the lizard people are from space? They're coming from space, because there are some lizard people who live in the center of the earth that I've looked upon as well.
Hold on, the center of the earth. Hold on. Let's back up. You said the center of the earth. Let me ask you a question. What shape do you believe the earth to be?
Well, I believe it to be obviously round, It's a no.
You know what? I have a problem with you already. Okay, so let's see if your opinion changes by the end of this podcast. But if it doesn't, I have a problem with you. The earth is flat. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, let me ask you this. If you poured water on top of a ball, a round ball, the water would just fall off. Okay? It's the same thing with the earth. The water would just fall off that's supposedly in the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean. It would fall off into outer space. Everybody in Australia would fall into outer space as soon as being born if the earth was round. It makes no sense, folks. It makes no sense.
So the Earth, what is it? Just like a flat? Is it a square, or is it? How was the Earth? What would the Earth look like then? What if it's not round? Is it like a square, or is it just flat?
It's just a flat cylinder. You know what I'm talking about? It's just a flat.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it. So
all these missing people cases you see around. Yeah. You know what that is? It's the Illuminati taking people who are trying to speak the truth and just chucking them off the edge of the earth. That's what's going on.
I see what you say. So if you were to, where we were now to drill down, then we would just fall through space and time eventually through Earth.
Exactly. Yeah.
That makes sense. No, you see, these are the things. Like I say, hopefully people listen along as well. You can educate them for maybe people that don't know this, because for so many, you hear silly arguments, about that. But I'm going to take your word for it, because this is the thing. You've been doing this for this amount of time. You know what you're kind of talking about, which I find it very interesting. Obviously, doing a little bit of research before this as well. Discussion about the moon. Of course, now we know it's a flat Earth. And the moon being there. I mean, there's not a problem with that, is there?
The moon. There is a problem with the moon. It's not real. The moon is not real. And let me tell you why they're lying to you about the moon. Basically, they shine a spotlight into the sky, and they have the money to do it. The Illuminati's very rich, of course. Kanye West and Drake, they're loaded. Okay, so they shine this projection into the sky to make you think it's the moon. And why do they do this? There's a government shill by the name of Dennis Hope. He has a dumb bow tie, right? And he claims to own the moon. And what he does is he sells the plots of land of the non-existent moon to other people. And they think, oh, I have a plot of land on the moon. Isn't that so cool? I have a plot of land named after me. No, they don't. And what they do is they take the money from those unsuspecting brainwashed people and they give it to the government so they can fund the government spy drones, and they can fund basically every evil agenda that the government has. Isn't that great?
I would, that blows my mind. Do you know what I'm starting to think? I feel like, and I know you haven't mentioned them yet, but someone like Amazon, of course, all other good retailers are available, are kind of behind this, because they're the kind of big conglomerate who kind of owns everything now, and it's weird you saying that with people that own obviously the moon. So the moon hasn't been about, so all this stuff about the moon landings then is just completely made up and all that sort of.
Of course.
That'd be fair to
Absolutely.
say.
Absolutely. They have to make up all sorts of things to spread their narrative. Now, I don't want to reveal too many details now because this is something that I'm going to talk about extensively on my Twitter page in a few days. But Canada's not real either. And I can't give you the explanation yet. You'll have to stay tuned for that. But they lied about Canada to spread another one of their narratives. And that's directly related to professional wrestling, believe it or not. So be on the lookout for that.
Well, that's been very, very interesting. Like I say, so I mean, we talk about Earth and the Moon, but the solar system, obviously, with aliens. I mean, aliens exist. We talked about the lizard people, but there's got to be other life in space as well, hasn't there? You know?
Oh, of course, aliens exist. Aliens are on the Earth too. Have you ever been to Denver International Airport and there's a gigantic sign? It says Denver's got some secrets, and there's a gigantic alien on it. And of course, yeah, Denver does have some secrets. Because Denver International Airport is the Illuminati's secret hideout, okay? So they have some secrets, and they've got some aliens there. Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely.
I would be, if I was in your position, worried about my safety, because obviously everything you're saying here puts you in a very knowledgeable position, and with obviously some people won't believe you might be trouble. You know, not saying people might put out, you know, a hit out on you, but I think you're very brave to come forward with most of this information as well.
Oh, of course. We all have to worry about that. And the problem is, most of the people that spoke the truth before me, they didn't take the proper precautions. What I do, I have my mind control protection, otherwise known, you know, I guess in the mainstream as a tinfoil hat. And what that tinfoil hat does is it protects them from reading my mind. I also have tinfoil pants as to prevent an alien insertion. So you know what? I'm good. I also live in an undisclosed location. I can make sure that they can't track me. You know what I'm talking about? So I can't be tracked. I can't be stopped.
No, I mean, it's difficult. Yeah, I mean, like I say, you are putting yourself in danger here. We talk about, you know, with the Illuminati and how, I mean, because it is, like you said, a worldwide thing. They have got you know, people, Illuminati's around the globe, not around the globe, sorry, across the world, as we say. Right. You know, and this is the thing. So what I'll say to you, and it's quite interesting, I want to know what it's like to be, you know, a day in the life. Like, how do you, with all this information that you've got, like you said, with your Twitter feed explode and everything like that, it must be difficult to contain all this information. So what do you do when you first get up in the morning? Is it straight into kind of everything, or do you try to give yourself an hour in a day to relax a little bit before all the madness?
Oh, there's no time to relax when you're the world superhero. All the time I do research, you know. I do have a computer. I perform the purification process on the computer, which we're going to talk about the purification process at some point during this podcast. But what I do is I do research. And then once I'm done research, you know, I make videos. And, you know, actually a lot of my time is actually eaten up by the fact that apparently landlords don't like it when you scream and you bother the other tenants. So I get evicted a lot due to noise complaints. I don't really understand what that's about. So a lot of my time is just like moving from one location to the other. They also don't like it when you break into somebody's apartment that you don't own. But whatever. I got to do what I got to do. Don't judge me. So, but anyway, a lot of my time is taken up by the researching and the informing of the masses. And of course, arguing with people, you know, the brainwashed degenerates who don't believe me. I got to argue with them as well. I also eat one meal a day. What I do is I eat tinfoil rolls with tomato sauce. This is around like 5, 6 p.m. So after I'm done recording this podcast, that's probably what I'm going to do. Tinfoil rolls with pasta sauce, and I wash it down. Might gross you out because you've probably been brainwashed, but I drink my own urine, which has many beneficial health benefits to it.
You know, Hulk Hogan did, so I'm sure, you know, like you said, it's good to keep that in your system. But it's just fascinating to feel, you know, get up and, you know, and you talk about, you know, you kind of got your diet that you stick with as well, obviously, you know. Is there any other kind of favourite meals that you have, or anything that, you know, when you're going to treat yourself, or is it a constant kind of lookout, or can you, like, you know, give yourself 10 minutes to make yourself one of your favourite meals?
Oh, no. It absolutely has to be tinfoil rolls, pasta sauce, and my own urine every single time. Because, okay, so Barack Obama's wife, Michelle Obama, you know how she's on this kick about, oh, you have to eat healthy. Here's this pyramid. Pyramid, once again, it's symbolism, right? That's just more proof of what's going on. But here's this pyramid of all the food that you have to eat. No, all that food, they put chemicals in the food. They put chemicals in your water, right? They're affecting the frogs. We know that. We don't have to go into detail about that because we all know about that, right? And they affect people. They make them irrational and angry to where they want to go out and Batista bomb other people on the sidewalk. Because for the past 15 years, when I go out there into the world, all I see is other people Batista bombing people on the sidewalk. Right? So I can't trust any food that you go to get at the grocery store, any food that Michelle Obama recommends. I have to eat what I know works. And
so, sorry, I was about to say, so that definitely makes sense for food wise. What I'm trying to work out now as well is obviously, you know, you've got your diet, and we talked about protection. So you obviously, we know you've got your mind control to you know, protection to stop that. Anything else that anybody at home can maybe either make or get ready to stop the interference for the Illuminati?
Obviously, you know, it's the food, and it's also the mind control protection. I think this is the perfect time to introduce the purification process. And I know you've taken a look at some of my Twitter videos. Maybe you're familiar with this, maybe not. Let me explain what that is. What it is I sing the purification song. It's a 15 to 20-second song. It's not very long. It's not going to take up a lot of time or anything like that. And what it's going to do, everybody at home is going to put their hand to the screen, and I'm going to put my hand to the screen too. I'm going to sing the purification song, and after that, all of their wrongdoings will be washed away. All the times that they believed lies were washed away, and they'll be pure. And then after that, if they start to follow me and believe my truths, then they'll be protected as long as they believe the truth. And I think now is a perfect time to sing the purification song if you should allow.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. Go, take it away.
Great. I'm putting my hand to the screen now. Everybody at home, feel free to do so. And I'm going to sing this purification song. Here we go. And there we go. Don't you feel lighter? Wow. Don't you just years and years have faded away?
Do you know what? I honestly, in the 300 episodes of this podcast, I've never felt like I have right now afterwards. Is that something that we can do ourselves, or is that just through you that we get it through, you know, the purification song? Or can, you know, if we're in the shower or the bath and we feel a little bit of purifying, can we sing that to ourselves?
Well, you can sing it to yourselves, obviously. I mean, it's such a good song. I have such an angelic voice. But because I have such an angelic voice, you're not going to be able to hit the notes like I hit them. So you're going to need to do it through me. That's why I have a video on Twitter going through that process. A new me, chapter 5. Anytime you feel like you need purified, anytime you feel like you need to be cleansed, just go watch that video. And it's a good thing that you did it with right here on your podcast, because if you said, no, I don't want you to sing the purification song, I was going to probably show up to your house and sing it through your bedroom window. So it's a good thing that because everybody needs it. You know what I'm talking about? So it's a good thing that you just agreed to do it now. You know, make it easier. Well, you know?
Like I say, I'm going to, you know, I'm here not to – a lot of people take the easy way out of, you know, poo-pooing, a very English word, or saying, you know, no. But I'm going to take all the information because, like we say, when we realise the truth, then who's laughing then? You know, you and then me that have this information. So, you know, I think it's a national service in some ways, you know.
Of course, yeah, and like you said, you know, who's going to be laughing when everything I prove? The people that criticize me, and there are a lot of them, surprisingly, because everything I say makes total sense. But people who criticize me, they're not going to be laughing when the Illuminati gets them, and they're not going to be able to cry for help then. Me, on the other hand, 100 years from now, it's kind of like how Vincent van Gogh wasn't recognized for being a good artist until after he was dead. 100 years from now, people are going to be praising me. They're going to say I'm the greatest person to ever live. There's going to be murals dedicated to me on every street in the world. It's going to be great. But for now, I just have to deal with the criticism and keep fighting the good fight, you know?
Well, like I said, it's going to be difficult to try and get through, especially when you're going to meet so many other people that are going to disagree with it. But I think it's important, what we're talking about right now. So what can we do in our own way then, apart from obviously we've got the protection advice and everything that you bring? Is there anything we can do in our own homes or the way to work that will protect us from either being watched? Because I know a lot of people are paranoid, but when you think about the cameras on your phone and your laptops and everywhere else, is there anything a normal person could do on their way to work tomorrow to kind of stop this from happening or being watched?
Well, the secret really, I mean, it is kind of getting repetitive saying it, but the secret at this point is just listening to me and believing me. The tinfoil hats have a lot to do with it, and actually now is a good time to talk about that. So I have a surplus of tinfoil because you can't use aluminum foil that they put in the stores. They make you think, if you wear aluminum foil hat, you'll be protected. That's what they have come up with to deceive you. It needs to be tinfoil. I have a surplus of tinfoil, and anybody who I feel like I can trust, I'll involve them as my degeneracy cleansing assistant. And what that means is they give me $1,000 and I give them 11 rolls of tinfoil, one for themselves for their own protection, and 10 for the role as a degeneracy cleansing assistant, when they will find 10 people who believe in my truths but also are willing to sell 10 tinfoil rolls to other people they know, and those people will distribute beyond that, and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? So it's a plan to spread mind control protection among the masses that believe in the truth, and it's also to fight the good fight against the Illuminati. You know what I'm talking about? So it raises a lot of money that I invest directly in the battle against the Illuminati. So it's a very good thing. So if people are looking, saying, hey, how can I get involved in this? That's really the best way. So reach out to me.
Yeah, I think, like I said, and what the service that they're offering kind of, it is going to be beneficial to anybody listening as well. So I think that does, make a lot of sense. But, the thing is that I'm worried about, obviously, we can take your word for most things. But, because like I said, it sounds like eventually there will be a mecca to where you are and everything that goes in between. But one question that it gets asked more than anything else is, what is the meaning of life? Now, in your eyes, the meaning of life will be something completely different to any normal guy, wouldn't it?
I don't know that the meaning of life is different from me than most people, but I think the meaning beyond that is different. And let me explain. I think most people, the meaning of life is to enjoy themselves and do good for others. I think that's the way I feel, and I'm sure for most people, not these degenerate wrestlers, of course, but for most people, that's the way they feel. But they don't truly know what doing good for others means. I do good for others. I'm a superhero. I really am, because I'm saving the world from all this degeneracy. Most people think doing good for others is other things, superficial things. You know what I'm talking about? So that's the meaning of life to me. And I think the way I view the meaning of life is the same as most people, but it takes it a step further, and it's the correct way, the only correct way to live.
Well, I think it's difficult sometimes because a lot of people's philosophy is, kind of, it was meant to be like that, it is what it is. But obviously what we're discussing now is nothing is what it is because the Illuminati are positioning it for their satisfaction.
Of course. It's lie after lie after lie from the moment that you're born.
Which I just find mind blowing, when you really think about it. And we talk about, we mentioned earlier, obviously Obama being a leader. Obviously, I'm in England here. Who would be the main one? Would there be a different, like I said, main lieutenants in different countries? I wouldn't think the Queen maybe would be one of these, but is there anybody I should keep an eye out here in London?
You should keep an eye out for everybody, man. You shouldn't trust anybody. You know what I'm talking about? So Obama, yes, he's the leader of everything, the entire New World Order, right? Make you think, he's exclusive to America. No, he's not. He's in charge of all this. He's running the New World Order's agenda. But you should be skeptical of your queen, and you should be skeptical of everybody, your parents, your friends, your coworkers, everybody. You know what I'm talking about? Be skeptical of everybody.
I'm gonna, yeah.
In fact, let me ask you a question. you're asking all these questions. You know what I'm talking about? Where are you feeding this information to? What's your role in all of this?
It's just to find out, I suppose, what's really going on. I think I'm here now. Like we said, it's getting to a stage of a national emergency, and people need to know what's going on. And there's going to be a lot of people that won't believe you, and there's a lot of people that won't believe me in what we're saying. And I feel it needs to be listened to. And I think if I could be a conduit from someone like you to the greater masses, then by all means, use me. You know, I think that's been a fair thing.
And you're sure that you're not feeding this information directly to Batista? You're sure about that?
I can honestly say that there is no one. Well, then again, as you're saying, I might be, and I don't know. And I think that is the thing that we have to be careful of. You know, this information might be coming out my mouth and then ending up with someone else, even indirectly, or someone that I trust. So we're basically, you know, we were saying we can't trust the people that we love because we don't know who it could be. And I think that is the most interesting thing from it, you know?
Sure. Okay. And I appreciate that answer, because most people say, oh, no, I don't have Batista on the other line. And you know that they're lying. But you're saying you don't know. Maybe Batista is hacking you and you don't know. So I appreciate that. You know, I feel like I trust you. I really do.
Really, I appreciate. I really do appreciate it. Like I say, to gain your trust, to make sure that, like I say, when this does happen, that you'll have me under your wing, I think can be really appreciated. You know, and the thing is that I've had a couple of problems recently where with my teeth, and they've had to put me under general anaesthetic, and I was out. Now, my question to you: what would they have done to me whilst I was out? You know, I know maybe microchip or something like this, but is there a way, you know, especially when you go to the hospital and you have these procedures, are they doing anything to the body to change it?
Of course they are. Dude, you should check yourself for some microchips. You absolutely should. I'm genuinely concerned about you at this point. They absolutely put a microchip on you at the bare minimum. You know what I mean? They might have injected you with some chemicals to make you irrational and angry. You know what I'm talking about?
They didn't.
Hang on. Your fingers into your skull. They could have done all sorts of things.
I have felt a little bit weird ever since then as well. So maybe I have to check myself. But this is the crazy thing about it. You walk out of your door and it could be the milkman. You know, like we said, we won't drink milk. We'll drink something else. But this is, I think, the thing about it. You know, we talked about you earlier working on projects, and of course you talking about your Twitter and everything like this. Is there anything that you're working on that maybe you haven't told anybody else, that maybe because you trust me you can open up a little bit? And
well, if you must know, there are some elite singers out there that I'm convincing to come to the good side, leave their Illuminati ways behind. You know, because I get A-list celebrities in my messages all the time. You know what I'm talking about? Because I'm just such a charming, handsome, wonderful person with an angelic voice. I get messages from people all the time. And I'm convincing multiple people to leave their Illuminati ways behind. So if you start seeing celebrities, you know, I can't mention their names. I can't mention that they're Taylor Swift or, you know, people like that. Absolutely can't mention their names. But if you see, I'm just saying, if you see Taylor Swift have a change in lifestyle soon, you know who was behind it.
Well, I'm just glad that, like I said, you're fighting the good fight with this. And how can you, you know, I want to kind of go into your philosophy, like, you know, and I want to see how can you change someone who has kind of gone to the dark side, so to speak, and a part of that. What is it that you can do that kind of brings them back to the good?
Well, it involves a lot of different things. Mainly, it's just making people listen to me. So, for example, all I've done is speak the truth, and you're just listening to me. So for you, it's easy. For some people, it's more difficult. You have to, keep applying pressure. So like I said, some people, I show up at their houses, outside their bedroom windows. I actually have a megaphone. I call it the My Neighbors Hate Me device. This is what caused me to get evicted so many times, because I'll stand outside their bedroom window, and I'll scream at them until they listen to me, right? And you know, some people call that stalking. Maybe legally it is, but I don't think it is. And even if it is, I don't like to stalk people. If the situation calls for it, obviously I will. I'll show up to their house. But I don't like to stalk people. But anyway, so that's a part of it. It's just keep applying pressure. You know what I mean? I'll show up underneath their bed to where when they go to sleep, I'll pop out of their bedroom and I'll scream at them while they're sleeping. Things like that. It's just you have to keep taking it one step further. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, I just want to say, because anybody listening in now thinking that might sound a little bit extreme, it's like shock treatment or shock therapy. You have to get into them first, and once you're inside them, then you can make that connection, and then I guess you can make it work.
Absolutely. And I'm willing to take the risk. I've gotten several restraining orders. I don't know how legitimate that is, to be honest with you. But I'm willing to take the risk if it means doing the right thing.
I think without a doubt. I just, continuing the questions, because like I said, I'm having such fun here as well. What's your thoughts on, I'll just say animals as such, mainly more pets, because sometimes I'm sure the dog is looking at me, but I'm not 100%. Have you got a preference between dogs and cats or any pets? Should they be allowed in the house? What are your thoughts?
They're all government spy drones. Well, not all, but most pets are government spy drones. So more likely than not, I'm talking specifically to you, but also your audience. If you have pets, more likely than not, they're a government spy drone. So it's time to take the piece of work to the pound. You know what I'm talking about? Just get rid of them. It's not worth the risk. And if you're somebody out there who's married or in a relationship and you're listening to me, he's like, oh, yeah, I do want to take my animal to the pound, and your significant other is disagreeing with that, just break up with them. Get a divorce. You know what I mean? There's nothing that's worth keeping in spite of the truth. You know what I'm talking about? So take them to the pound. That's what I say.
Well, this is why I'm still single, because you can't really trust that. It's a bit of a shame that I'm going to have to take my dog back down to the vets tomorrow, but it's knowing these things and being able to sort them out as well, And like I said, we've covered, a few subjects. I mean, we talk about, because it's not really about Illuminati, but, conspiracy theories. I think that is something that, has been talked about. And there's a couple of them that we could mention. But, I mean, what are your thoughts on conspiracy theories? Because obviously we've talked about the moon landing, and obviously the moon doesn't exist now. But like the JFK assassination, stuff like that. What are your thoughts for this? Were they actually conspiracies? Did they happen? Or was there a higher power to this?
I would say most of those, they're not theories, they're facts. They're dressed up as theories because the Illuminati spreads lies, and they say, the earth is round, and you believe it. And then they say JFK was assassinated not by us, but by some random passerby. And then you believe that as well. So most of them are based in reality in some way. It's just that the reality that you're given has been distorted. It's fiction that has been manipulated and molded into replicating reality, but it's really not. So most conspiracy quote-unquote theories are actually facts.
Is there one, sorry to interrupt, but is there one that maybe has been you've debunked yourself, or have you said to yourself, well, this one everybody thinks is, but it's actually not? Or is there another moment in time that maybe that's something that maybe happened that we weren't sure,
Well, kind of a recent one with this pandemic going on, and people saying, specifically in America, of course, saying, oh, they want us to wear a mask, so they suppress us. It's government control to make us wear masks. No, even without a pandemic going on, everybody should be wearing their masks, because you see all these cameras around, right? And they're trying to detect your mouth movements and see what you're saying. You got to wear your mask to make sure that your mouth is covered up. So they're making us wear masks to, suppress us or oppress us. That's not true. And you should wear your mask regardless. 10 years from now, if the coronavirus is no longer an issue, you should still be wearing your mask. That's the same 50 years from now, 100 years from now, 500 years from now.
I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? To have the proper protection, especially when we don't really know what we're looking at. As for, like we said, is across entertainment, like we talk about with either singers or Hollywood. Is there anywhere or any place in the world that hasn't got to, or is it spread like wildfire?
It's spread like wildfire for the most part. You can see a little bit. Now, some areas more than others. Obviously, professional wrestling loaded with Illuminati members, singers, movie, actors, directors, things like that. Same thing. But other areas, maybe not so much.
Well, it's interesting because sometimes you have to be careful. I mean, with the wrestling, like we talk about, people might think it's like I said, Vince McMahon in control, but it goes deeper than that, and that's what you're doing. You're starting from the base and working yourself up. Have you got a list of like we said, victims that you're going to work through?
Well, victims, I don't know that that's the correct word. I want to say I have victim. I just have people that I want to get rid of because they're doing wrong things. I think every professional wrestler. Now, there are some, you know what I mean? Oh my God, I'm getting sick. They're trying to, they're releasing the chemicals in this apartment for sure. There are some wrestlers that I'm sure I could save. I'm talking about. If I sing the Purification song to them and they are just in awe of me, I'm sure I could save them. But if that fails, then I'm just going to have to get rid of them. And I don't think the list is too long. I could go on naming every professional wrestler, but that would take 48 to 72 hours. And for whatever reason, people don't like to listen to me for hours on end. I was actually recently in a car and I talked about how the moon is fake for 10 hours straight. And, I was getting a lot of eye rolls and I was getting a lot of that. I don't really appreciate that. But for whatever reason, people don't like listening. I don't get it.
I don't understand. I mean, I would be, you could audition for like Audible books or stuff like that. I mean, like I said, it's like been music to my ears this past half hour or so. So, I just think people sometimes don't like the truth when they're getting it right in front of them. I think that could be a difficult thing. But like I said, we talked about kind of all this situation. When it comes, so what are we safe doing? What would you suggest to everybody apart from Twitter and everything like this, the protection that we got? What would be safe for them to either watch or do in their house? I mean, what's a good program, or is everything kind of giving you the message that we shouldn't have?
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, most singers are part of the Illuminati, but there's one. I mean, well, there are two. One of them is me. I'm an excellent singer. I'm not a part of the Illuminati. But there's one singer, rapper, songwriter, and dancer out there. He has not been tainted by the Illuminati, and he has the voice of an angel. Like, if we're ranking the best singers of all time, I'm number one, and then he's number two. Have you ever heard of Ice JJ Fish?
I can't say I have, no.
Well, Ice JJ Fish, you should look him up. He's amazing. Unfortunately, he doesn't get the recognition. Like, people say, oh, he sucks. No, he doesn't get the recognition that he deserves, only because, once again, he's being suppressed by the powers that be because he hasn't been tainted yet. You know what I'm talking about? But he's excellent. So everybody here right now, after the podcast is over anyway, you should look up Ice JJ Fish. You should listen to his music. And that, if you want good quality entertainment, just listen to his music. You know what I'm talking about? So that's one activity that you can do that will keep you safe.
That makes perfect sense. What I was going to say is one of the rumors that I've heard for a very long time, I don't know if you can help me out or it might be wrong, Walt Disney being frozen to be cured later on. Now, Walt Disney to me just sounds like a big Illuminati member. Is he really frozen? Is he still alive? Do you know anything about this situation?
My research is not concluded on him. Obviously, I have to focus on professional wrestling first. My research on him is not concluded, but it seems more likely than not, yeah, he has been frozen and preserved. I believe that.
It seems quite strange because you don't really hear about it in the kind of the wrestling world, but then it makes you start thinking maybe they have done, like Vince McMahon. Is he still the same Vince McMahon that was there 30 years ago, or have they changed him somehow, or is it because he's still a part of Illuminati that he still gets to keep going? Because like, very strange, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely a different person. Barack Obama, different person too. Like 10 years ago or 20 years ago, Barack Obama would have claimed he's in his 30s, and Vince McMahon would have claimed he's in his 50s. Now Barack Obama claims that he's in his 50s, and Vince McMahon claims he's in his 70s. So which is it? Are they in their 30s or in their 50s, or are they in their 70s? The things that they were saying decades ago, they're saying different things now. So which is it? They're lying. You know what I'm talking about?
I understand that completely. I think that's an excellent point with that. I think it will be difficult though for people who are maybe listening to this for me to not, I don't say argue a point at all, because like I say, I'm not going to argue for argue's sake. Everything that you said to me right now makes sense in its own way, so I don't think there's any point, maybe for another time, if we want to do that. But what I want to know is, obviously we talk about upcoming projects with anything that you're doing. So how can people find you? So what is your main source? Is it Twitter that you're mainly on at this moment in time?
That's where I'm mainly on. You can find me. My Twitter handle is @Francis Wright PW. Wright is spelled WRIGHT. Francis Wright PW. There you will be able to find, once again, Exposing Hollywood Secrets, my new series, What's Hollywood Hiding. You'll be able to find that. You'll also be able to find my series, A New Me, where I talk about all of the secrets and all the things that you can do to protect yourself. And occasionally, I'll upload the occasional picture or just text, giving you important information. So it's definitely worth following me. You know what I'm talking about? And plus, you get to look at my face. And who doesn't want to do that? You know what I'm talking about?
Well, like I say, the artwork of this will place front and center. There's no doubt about that. But what's going to happen once we talked about the virus? We've touched on it, obviously. Obviously it'd be a silly question to say, has the virus helped you get your message across? And once the virus has died down and we kind of go back to normality, what would be your plans then?
Well, the majority of the things that I talk about aren't about the virus. I would say the virus hasn't had an effect on me and the messages that I send and everything like that. I think I'm hesitant to talk about the virus now, only because my research on it is not concluded. Maybe in a few years' time, we can look back on it and we can see what was really going on. If the things that we're told are true or false. I will say, so far, everything we're hearing about the virus seems true, as far as the impact that it has and the fact that we should be wearing our masks. That's what I'll say.
I think with that, yeah. So I think without doubt. So what I meant was kind of more the fact of, because of the virus, because people haven't been going out, there's more of a chance for them to see you on Twitter and for you to get your message across to them now, as opposed to them just being, I suppose, out and about all the time, if you know what I mean.
Sure. And that's a part of it. I will say, even after the virus has concluded, if your job takes away from being able to listen to me, you should quit your job, right? So let's go through the checklist. For me and for my truths, you should quit your job. You should get rid of your pet. You should divorce your spouse. You know what I'm talking about? Just dedicate your entire life to me. That's not crazy. That's not asking too much. It's for the purposes of spreading the truth, right?
Right. And also, like I said, get rid of your pet, get rid of your job and your spouse, drink urine if you can, your tinfoil hat that you're wearing as well, part of mind control.
Absolutely.
Talk about your snacks as well, is it tomato ketchup that you have?
Oh, not ketchup. Not ketchup. Tomato sauce.
Sorry.
Let's get that correct. It's not ketchup. Ketchup was made by Satan in hell, okay? Ketchup, don't even say that word around me.
I do apologize about that. Obviously, we just mentioned Satan in hell. We've talked about the meaning of life earlier. What about the afterlife? What is there? Is there a heaven and hell? Or is there just going to be the select few that kind of, I guess, are immortal forever?
Well, yes, there are people who are immortal forever. Well, there's one person that's immortal forever, and that, of course, is me. As far as an afterlife, we're just going to have to see. As far as that, I don't really know, but let's focus on the here and now, and let's focus on doing the right things now. Now that we're on Earth, we know that we exist on Earth. We know that everything around us is the way it is, or at least some of us do. Those of us that know the truth know that the way the things are the way they are. So let's focus on the here and now. Let's focus on making Earth a better place. Let's focus on getting rid of the Illuminati, and let's focus on making the world a better place. Like I said, I repeated myself a few times, but you know what I'm talking about?
I think without a doubt, and I think this is the kind of the message we're trying to get across. Obviously, people are going to be huge fans of you, are going to listen to this, and obviously are loyal followers and subscribers as well. And I just hope today we have got the message across of how important it is to actually listen to you. And I would suggest anybody listening to this podcast will listen to it 2 or 3 times to actually get the message, I think would be fair to say.
Of course, and after that, if you want to once again go through the purification process a few times, that's on my Twitter as well. You should be starting and ending your day with the purification process. To be honest with you, because even if you were purified once, you feel like, oh, I'm good to go. Slowly but surely, the Illuminati is going to creep in. You know what I'm talking about? So do it every single day.
Yeah, I think that. I think we should before we end it. Hopefully, we have another purification song as well. I think that would be fantastic. Is there anything that personally you want to kind of get off your chest now? This is the kind of I say get off your chest. I mean, you've been pretty open this past 40 minutes or so. Is there anything that maybe I haven't mentioned that you really want to mention to let every listener and follower know?
Sure. So basically what I want to say is that I'm the greatest person to ever live, right? If you compare me to anybody who's allegedly a hero in the history of time, I'm better than them. And if you think otherwise, then you are a dirty Illuminati shill beta cuck, and I have no time for you. And that's what I want to say, I think.
I think that would be fair enough to say. Like I said, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. And like I said, what else can be said at this moment in time? I would actually ask, like I talked about a purification song, is there any chance of another one before we go, just to end it on a high?
Let's go ahead and do it. Everybody put their hands to the screen. Is everybody ready? Doesn't matter. I'm going anyway. And what a way to close. Thank you very much for having me. You've listened to me, you believed in my truths, and you allowed me to sing the purification song twice, including at the end. So thank you.
Without a doubt, it has been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure to have you on, and maybe some time down the road to come back on just to inform the listeners again what it's all about, and maybe to have a little bit more fun. But as long as you've enjoyed yourself today, then like I said, it's time well spent, isn't it?
Absolutely.
No problem. So that is it, and I was joined by the fantastic Francis Wright. Thank you very much for joining us. Don't forget you can follow us on the WNR podcast on Twitter, and of course your Twitter again. Sorry, Francis.
My Twitter, Francis Wright PW. Wright is spelled WRIGHT. Francis Wright PW.
We're also on Facebook, the WNR podcast, and Instagram across all the Google platforms, WNR podcast at gmail.com. We're on YouTube. Have you got a YouTube channel? Are you going to start one, obviously, in the near future?
Well, Twitter is my focus for now. YouTube could come in the future. I would love to expand as far as social media goes, but Twitter is my focus for now. But if I do create a YouTube channel, you will all know about it.
Well, shadow of a doubt, and of course we'll pull it up on the WNR podcast as well, because we're on Stitcher and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate and review there. And also, before we leave, our very special WNR follower of the week is Carolina, at Carolina Only One. You've had the pleasure of being the follower of the week alongside my very special guest, which was Francis Wright. It has been brilliant. Thank you very much for joining me, and stay safe, and hopefully your message comes across the world as well.
Thank you very much. And my last message, wake up, people. Please wake up.
I have been James Rowland. Thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.